It's such a thrill to have him back with tonight's film that is so funny and one of the wildest fucking movies I've ever seen. And it features two fantastic performances by the lead actresses who I know we're going to be seeing a lot more from for years to come. It's a real pleasure to have them. Yeah. Welcome, Kevin Smith.
Hi. I wrote down some stuff because it's been a real weird trip for me so far. First off, thank you, Trevor. I met Trevor 22 years ago here when I gave him my print of Clerks. He was known as Trevor the Print Trafficker. They're like, find Trevor the Print Trafficker. Yeah, there was three names, like an old English name, like John the Blacksmith. He was Trevor the Print Trafficker. And when I met him, you know, I was like, I'm the Clerks guy. This is my print. He goes, okay, we'll just take that. And I'm holding on to it going, you don't understand, dude. I only have one print of this, so please don't fuck it up. And he was like, we won't. We handle things very well here. And I was like, you don't understand. This is important. He's like, you're all filmmakers, dude. Like, we'll take care of your print. And years later, man, he programmed the fucking flick here. Like, I've watched so many people grow up here, not just myself. This week here has been so incredibly powerful and sentimental and nostalgic. It's like going back to high school, like your alma mater. Everywhere I look is a fucking memory. I went to see the Bob Hawke doc this morning, and it was at the Prospect Square. That's where, like, we had Chasing Amy screening. We got, like, a standing ovation. I'm screening at the Egyptian, our third screening for this. That's where Clerks got bought. I've passed restaurants where Harvey Weinstein sat us down. It's like, I want to fucking buy your movie. Everywhere I look, there's a really fucking powerful memory. But I want to share a story with you it was my Sundance kind of highlight. I'm sure this will be good too. But I had a moment that afterwards, I was like, I could go home now. 22 years ago when I came up here with Clerks, me and Scott Mosier, my producer, were going to go to the director's brunch. They have a director's brunch every year up at Sundance, the Sundance Resort area. So we got a car and we drove. We couldn't fucking find it. We got up there, we walked around. There's a lot of ski lifts and skiers and stuff. But we didn't see any director brunch, so we said, fuck it. We turned around and we went to a comic book store in Salt Lake City instead. Never went to the director's brunch. I'm moving here 4 times, this is the 4th time. 2 other times, never went to the director's brunch. I got up the other day, and there was a director brunch on Saturday, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna try to fucking go, man. Like, I've never accomplished this, so let me do this. So I got up, and I took the drive, this beautiful, gorgeous drive up to the mountains and stuff, and I got up to Sundance, and once again, I couldn't find it for about 20 minutes, so I was like, fuck it, I'll go home. And I was turning around about to go, and somebody was like, Silent Bob, we took a picture and stuff, and then other skiers came over and were taking pictures. I was like, right on, it's a selfie fest. And then one of them was kind enough to be like, you looking for that Sundance thing? I said, yeah, where is it? He goes, it's just up there. So it was like 20 feet away from where I had been 22 fucking years ago. And me and Mosier were like, where the fuck is it? And we didn't go. So there it was, and I saw it. I was like, right on, we could go in. And I went in and I saw people, like I saw Trevor, Cooper, people I saw since the beginning of my career, people, other filmmakers as well. Room was packed and stuff. I got there just in time for the Redford speech. Now, I'm sure Redford has given this speech 1,000 times over his life, or a variation of it, and talking about indie film and how important it is. And we're all filmmakers gathered in this room and stuff. And so they're about to start the speech, and I go lean in the back of the wall. I'm like, this is going to be cool. Honestly, the whole reason I went up there, I was like, I want to get a selfie with Redford and shit. So here I'm in the back of the room taking this picture, and he starts his speech. And I swear to God, like, it fucking hit me like a freight train, because he tells this very simple story that turns out to be like the secret origin of my life that I didn't even realize. He talks about like being an actor and loving weird movies, like independent film. And he's like, at that time, there was really no place for it, no market for it. And I always told myself, if I got a little bit of success, I would try to do something about that. He's like, years later, I did get some success. In 1980, we started trying to figure out how to do the film festival. First was the U.S. Film Festival, then became the Sundance Film Festival. So he talked about, like, you know, I love the Native American community, and I believe that just like them, if you take something out, you got to put something back. And so Sundance was my way of putting it back, and it was a way of building a community for these people that made these movies. And he was one fucking sentence shy of going like, something for the freaks, like you know? And I swear, that's when it hit me. I just started bawling, because I realized, like, no one in my life, like there's no one else in my life quite like that person. All of my fortunes, everything that ever happened to me in my career, are predicated on Robert Redford going like, I think it would be nice to put something back. I think it'd be nice if they had a community. I dreamed about that shit. I mean, before the internet and stuff, we couldn't all find each other. I dreamed of being with other people who thought like me and said, yeah, I'm not into sports. I want to tell weird fucking stories and talk about Star Wars and pussy, whatever the fuck. And because of that guy, that happened, and my life changed. There never has anyone had more impact on my life that I've never met. And I was standing in the room with him and shit. He finished his speech, he went out the door, and I was just a mess. And everybody's like, are you all right? And I was like, he's just in every fucking culture, there's a wise man on a mountain, and it's him! So it was really sweet. This whole trip has been insanely sentimental. I thank you guys for bringing me back, man. But I want to thank some other people, and then we'll dive into this. I was trying not to cry, and I didn't do it so far. When you're a middle-aged stoner, everything is beautiful. Oh my God, everything affects you on a profound level. This room, ladies and gentlemen, is very important to me because in 1994, when we were here with Clerks, me and my producer, Scott Mosher, came here to watch the Hudsucker Proxy. Coen Brothers introducing and talking after the Hudsucker Proxy. Now, if anybody in film knows, catching the Coen Brothers talking is like finding a fucking unicorn, man. Like, they let their work speak for themselves. I'm the other guy. I make the movie, I come out and go, I'm sorry, let me explain what happened. So, being there in the room when they spoke as young filmmakers, we were just fucking thrilled and shit like that. But in that movie, there's an important lesson that, like, you know, I love that movie, took an end in the moment. But there's a lesson that I've used my entire life that came right out of this room. So when I found out we were screening here tonight, I was like, fuck, that's amazing. Came out of the movie. It's a very simple quote happens at the end. Don't want to spoil the movie for you if you haven't seen the Hudsucker Proxy. Fuck you, it's been 20 years. But the main counterpoint of the movie comes down to the very sign point. Failure should never lead to despair. For despair looks only to the past. In business and in love, the future is now. I failed so much in my career. So much, and it's always led to something else, man. I've stopped being afraid of fucking failure for that reason. Failure is just success training, that's it. And you get it wrong once, you'll never get it wrong again and stuff. I learned that lesson in this fucking room. Tonight, you're not gonna learn anything like that. You're not gonna learn any valuable lessons in this movie whatsoever, man. This essentially Yoga Hosers is the movie that I would have wanted to see back when I was a 12-year-old girl. And I had to wait until I was a 45-year-old man to make the movie and stuff. Couldn't have made the movie without some people I want to shout out there here that are very important to me. Kim Redford, my spiritual sister. Perhaps the only person left in this world that believes in me and stuff. I came to her and we were working on this other thing, oddly enough, a Krampus movie and stuff. And I said, hey man, I got this idea, there's a window to do it. I want to build a whole movie around these two girls, kind of like a girl superhero movie and stuff. It's like a comic book movie, but without the comic book. And she went for it right away. She found money so fucking fast. 2 months after I had that conversation with her, we were in production. That's a miracle worker. Her, Charles, Dan at Starstream, without them, I don't get to do anything. There are, thank you. This movie is full of sausages and phallic symbols and shit like that. But oddly enough, it is a very woman-heavy movie. The whole movie was produced and made by women. I'm the writer-director, that's it. But these are the people, these are the women that made the movie, man. Liz, Jordan, Jen, Tracy, our first ADs, Alyssa and Sherry. These are the women that every day I want to work with this dopey movie, and they brought it to life. I urge anybody, man, in your creative life, surround yourself with women. They make life for a living, so movies are fucking nothing to them, you know what I'm saying? Without them, I got nothing. Very important though, this is that every artist pickpockets the lives and of the people around them and stuff. I pilfer constantly. I lead a very interesting life. I'm a fear-based creature. So I always kind of look to other people who do interesting things. My wife, Jennifer, for years has been that person. I constantly steal from her and put it into my work. My work wouldn't be nearly as interesting if I wasn't married to her. For the better part of 17 years we've been together, she'd come home from this thing called yoga. And I'd be like, what'd you do there? And she'd be like, upward dog. And I'd be like, okay. So I know 10 yoga things, and they're all in this fucking movie. Nice. And it's all because of Jennifer. I'm happy with that. But the biggest thanks of all, hands down, go to the two ladies right at the center of the movie, Lily and Harley. They came out to shoot a little scene in Tusk. And because of this movie we made last year or 2 years ago, and because of that little scene, this whole movie exists. And it happened very accidentally. Harley, I pulled Harley into Tusk because I wanted somebody to play the convenience store clerk. And I told my wife, I was like, let's put Harley as the convenience store clerk, because let's be honest, she's never gonna get a real job fucking anyway. So this would be our chance to see what that would look like, you know? So she was like, cool. So Harley was in the scene with Johnny Depp. And Harley and Lily have known each other since kindergarten. So when the night before we shot the scene, Harley was like, Lily's coming to watch us tomorrow on set, watch us act. And I was like, really? And she goes, yeah. And I was like, well, that's neat. And she goes, why? And I was like, it's fun to watch people act, more fun to act. If she's there, let's just put her in the flick. So she goes, really? I said, yeah, man, let's ask your parents. So I hit up Vanessa, and she's like, totally, ask Johnny. And I sent Johnny an email. We just worked together that day, and we're going to work together the next day. I sent him an email, and I was like, hey, man, Lily Rose can be on set. Let's put her in the scene with Harley. So didn't get a response and shit, so I was like, oh, bad idea. Why did I? Next day, I went in to set, and he was like, hey, man, I got your email. And I was like, yeah, I'm sorry, dude. I know you don't put the kids in the movies. I was baked when I wrote that shit. Don't worry. It's one of those ideas where I was like, Lily Rose, yes. And he goes, no. He's going, I'm thinking about it. And he's going, I think it'd be really sweet. I never imagined I would act with my daughter. So, like, if we could still do it, is it possible? And I was like, we can do anything, man. Fuck yeah, it's possible. And so we did the thing that all responsible fucking parents should do. We went to school, pulled our kids out for the day, and brought them to a movie set. And said, here are your lines and stuff. They rehearsed together, and we were off and running. And it was honestly the greatest day of my life as a filmmaker. I was standing on a set, making the stupidest fucking movie ever made and shit like that, with one of the greatest actors on the planet, and my kid was in the scene with like her best friend all through childhood. And it was wonderful. We were 4 of us at a counter, the 2 girls behind the convenience store counter, and then me and Johnny were on the other side of the counter and shit, and I'm directing my daughter, and he's directing his daughter and shit. And then my daughter stops listening to me and starts listening to him instead. She's a good fucking actor. And so, and we went for it. It was the action. And the girls had never done dialogue before, really acted before, and they were just like magical. I'm standing next to my wife the whole time, watching on the monitor, and I keep elbowing her, going like, that actress came out of my balls. The whole thing was fucking fantastic. We had a great time shooting. She knows. We had a fantastic time shooting and stuff, and then we wrapped on that scene. It was magical. It was wonderful. So I cut the rest of the movie together, but that scene, even though I had these great scenes with Johnny Depp and with Justin and this walrus makeup and stuff, I was transfixed by the girls' scene. I would watch it all the time. Anyone who came into my office, I'd be like, watch this. I'd show it to Jen, my wife, constantly, so much so to the point she's like, I'm tired of this movie and shit. I was like, you sound like every Kevin Smith fan on the internet. But finally one day, I was showing it to Jen yet again. She's like, why do you keep watching this? Like, I don't know, I love this scene so much. I said, what is it? Is it because they're wearing like these smocks that look like hockey jerseys or something like that? So I like the way they look. Or is it because like in the movie, they look at their phones, they look up, say shitty things, look back at their phones. That's all she does all day anyway. What is it? What do I like about this? And Jennifer goes, oh God, Kevin, you're so fucking stupid, you can't see it. It's 2 people standing behind a fucking convenience store counter. And I was like, oh God, you're right, it's Girl Clerks, isn't it? I was like, but I think I can make that movie. She's like, you already made that fucking movie. I was like, but with girls this time, and in Canada, it'll be different. And that's where we are tonight, ladies and gentlemen. There is a Taoist proverb you can take with you in your life. I love that. I picked it up from the Tao of Pooh when I was a kid. I read that book. That's as deep as I get on the Tao. And this quote is very, very particularly meaningful for me tonight. And the quote is, to be great is to go on. To go on is to go far. To go far is to return. I'm very fucking happy to return. Enjoy yoga, hoodies.